Hello, welcome back. This is Grillenheimer. Okay, I just did that one like 5 minute. Oh crap, I didn't do an opening. Oh well, so much for the music or game tie-in. But I need to make this quick. That anime. My daughter and I, we were talking, and she was talking how, hey, Dad, a lot of the old anime from the 90s is coming back. And I'm like, really? And I took a picture of my collection and to help me with this video, and I didn't go over it like I was going to, but I'll put stuff in the afterthought here or here. And because there is a reason a lot of people, a lot of youngsters today don't understand, is that back in 92, 93, who was president? What was happening to our country? The PC culture was rich. It was being builded and founded on because of who was president and who was running the country. Our entertainment was just going downhill. The one show that a lot of people were flocking to was Married with Children. To actually have something to laugh at that was politically incorrect. And then it's flip side, the other network that was, so there was Married with Children and Unhappily Ever After, unhappily married or something like that, and both had like cute kids, the hot girl and the cute boy, and just the disgusting parents, and just and cursing back and forth and the other, and etc., etc. And they were funny shows, and they were very manly shows, and they were just silly, and they were stupid. You could just turn your brain off and watch, and it was not politically correct whatsoever. Everything else that was going on back then was very proper, very sensitive. We dare not. We cannot say these words anymore. We cannot do that anymore. Nobody should be allowed to smoke. We have to do this. We have to take away this from the people. We have to take away this from the people. We can't. Oh, everyone's so offended. Oh, somebody's burnt themselves with hot coffee. We have to let people know that hot coffee is hot, because we can't be allowed to sue. And the national, what you don't understand, kids, we're here for your daughter, Chuck. No, that era that was going on back then in the early to mid 90s was trying to change how we grew up. My wife, me, and our age group. And then we had a group that was in the White House that were from the 60s. And they were kids during the whole flower power mess. And drugs and free love. Well, they were the ones actually controlling our country back then. And because of that, it was really weird. I find it very hypocritical that, how they grew up and their drug use and all this. Yes, they did. It might be hard to search nowadays, but they did. A lot of those politicians, and some are still residuals that are held over, that are if they haven't retired or whatever. I don't want to get too political here, but it was political. I remember it was that time when I told my dad what was going on politically, because I was listening to the radio daily, and the news daily, and all this stuff that was going on. He's like, oh, no, what happens in our house stays in our house. It's not. I said, Dad, you don't understand what's going on. And my dad's about 25 years older than me. And I tried to explain to him, listen, he wasn't listening. He didn't watch the news. He did, but he didn't keep up with it. His idea of a fun night is turning on the TV, putting on a football game, and falling asleep in his chair at 7:30 in the evening. Probably still does. He falls asleep about 8 or 9 o'clock now, but his health is well. He's getting up there, and we're all. I'm glad my parents are still around right now. But the point is that he failed to see politics seeping into our everyday lives. And it wasn't quite there back then, but they were trying as hard as they could to make sure that we were the sensitive little wormy people that were so weak that we didn't need our guns. We weren't able to defend ourselves from the evil guns and the evil SUVs. Check some of the writings back then. That's what they were doing. And it was even not just articles or in the newspaper, but on TV and in the evening news. It was all there. I was there. I saw it. I read it. It happened. Nobody, no real person was responsible for anything. Oh, we got to take these evil, this, whatever the item was that killed the person. Oh, that person fell on the sidewalk. That's an evil sidewalk. You know, it's this mentality that was just, what are you doing? And that was also the same people that were trying to take Looney Tunes away and morph Looney Tunes into something that wasn't Looney Tunes, because we couldn't offend this person. We couldn't offend that person. Blah, 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 blah. But what am I getting to? You're talking about anime. You started with anime. You want to talk about anime. Yes, I really do. But this is the whole premise behind this. In the meantime, the Japanese from the 80s, if not the 70s, really 2 decades prior, their live action shows, from what I understood, were terrible. Just terrible. They didn't know how to act. They didn't act very well. We laughed at it when it was subbed or dubbed or whatever. Like the old Godzilla movies, you know. And I think they laughed at them too. So there ended up whole medium turned into cartoons. So they had cartoons for the itty bitty, for the itty tykes. They had cartoons for the preteens. They had cartoons for the teens. They had cartoons for the adults. They had cartoons for the horny adults. You know, they had cartoons on every single entertainment level over the other pond. And because they had this mass of shows now, we started getting an interest. And we already had an interest if you knew about Transformers and Voltron and Thundercats and even G.I. Joe. A lot of the cartoons that were made for America were drawn and half produced, not completely, in Japan. And they were drawn for American audiences, etc., etc. And so, in Robotech, Macross, you know, that came from back then, from the 80s or late 80s, actually. And so Cartoon Network was showing Robotech at 3 in the afternoon for kids. A show that was probably originally intended for a family audience or an adult audience with a family, probably in the evening, like we would probably watch Flintstones or Jetsons back in the late 60s, early 70s. At dinner time was when the new episode would come on for the one episode of the week. That's how often Flintstones would come on, or the Jetsons, or Yogi Bear, etc. Those Hanna-Barbera cartoons were made for a family audience around dinner time, just like Family Ties, Silver Spoons, Three's Company, Sanford and Son, 227, and all those others were home improvement for dinner time, for family time in front of a TV while eating dinner. That's how that was. That was where that was probably coming from. So, because of our interest from the 80s and all this, a lot of other factors that I probably can't fathom right now or know the history of, we started getting all sorts of interesting avenues of video, because we could do home video. We had lots of video. The videotapes were everywhere since like about 82, 83. Now it's early 90s. It's been more about a decade or so for VHS was a very popular medium. DVDs were still new, or very, very new. I can't remember which. I can't remember when DVDs really came out to be a popular medium yet. Now CDs were really big. I remember my brother getting his CD player like 84, 85 for his new car, and he was able to play this song, What You Hear, What You Hear, What You Hear, What You Hear. And I'm thinking, why would anybody want to do this? Well, you can do it. You can go from this mark from mark A to mark B and hear it over and over in a loop. And I'm like, why? But apparently I don't know if he was just showing off his CD player more than anything. But anime, I don't know. I was in my mid-20s back then, or in my 20s. I'll just say 20s. And we had video stores all over the place. Blockbuster, Video Express, and there was a couple of others that were somewhat national chains and mom and pop chains, all over the place. You could buy videos at gas stations, just all drugstores. I mean, and you can still find DVDs like that way as well now. But we also had very, I wouldn't say high end. We did have some VHS stores in the malls, like Suncoast and Babbage's or Electronics Boutique. They were mainly the game stores, but occasionally you might actually find a VHS tape of anime. And Suncoast at our mall actually had a small little anime section next to the sci-fi TV section, where you could buy one episode of Star Trek The Next Generation for $20, $15 to $25 for one episode of Star Trek, or one episode of The Twilight Zone, or one episode, 2 episodes, or 3 of maybe Andy Griffith or something, and it's on VHS. Everything was on VHS back then. And so when you go to this one little section, sometimes hidden, sometimes very small, was the anime. And there was a comic book store that is still here where I live. Comic stores have come and gone. Where I'm sitting, there used to be one right there, and it's gone now. It's been gone for 25 years or so, 20 something. But not many comic book stores had videos, but there's one who, he's still in business, great guy. He loved anime. He had all sorts of stuff, comics, anime. I think he even had hentai, but I didn't ask for it. Soundtracks like you wouldn't believe. That's where I've gotten a lot about this anime and game soundtracks that I have. I don't collect them anymore. Was from his store. So, and it was this era of high intensity, overstressed, overbearing of lack of freedom of speech in this heavy political correctness movement that was, to me, felt oppressive. It really did. And so when I checked out one of my first, I bought it on a whim. It was El Hazard. It looks like El Hazard, and a friend of mine called it El Hazard, but it was El Hazard. And it was funny. It was outrageous. There was cursing and slight nudity, but not really. Very progressive. It was short. I think that had maybe 4 VHS tapes to it. And then there was El Hazard 2, which was like the last half or continuation. Really, it was like a seasonal OVA. It was not a TV show. Now, The Wanderers was the TV show side of it, which is like the same premise, but a whole new take on it with the same characters. And sometimes different voice actors, depending on who picked up what, and if they could get the same voice actors, etc. What it was like in Japan, I don't know. I can only say what it was, what I caught it when I saw it here on VHS tape, which you had only 2 options. The English with subtitles, the Japanese with subtitles, or the English dub. And I normally would start off with, I got El Hazard, and it's all in English. And it was hysterical. I collected all 4 of them. I didn't do El Hazard 2. The guy not only sold stuff, he rented stuff as well. So we had the Suncoast in the mall. We'd go to a mall down, I'm in Alabama, y'all know that. We'd go to Montgomery. We go to a mall in Montgomery. We go to a mall somewhere else. Oh, look, here's the game store. Let's check the anime. Here's the video store. Let's check the anime. See what they got, And you never knew it was not mainstream. And the sections were always small, so you never know what you were going to find. You didn't know if it was going to be new, how new it was. Most of it was for that era, for that time. You're making, oh, so sorry. I'm hope my phone doesn't get too hot. It's not really in the sun, but I want to make this short. I didn't mean to go this long again. But I really felt the need to describe the premise of why I personally went to anime. Why I think some other people, possibly my age, were going to anime, was to get out of, feel like, the oppressive entertainment industry of almost destroying comic relief, because you don't care if you're offended or if other people are offended. You just want to laugh. You want to get outside of the real world and just laugh. It could be for the right reasons, the wrong reasons, or whatever reasons. You just want to laugh. You know? I'll say this. Something came to my head that happened when my senior in high school, but I'll save that for another video. So, El Hazard was my first anime. It was funny. It was like a variation of Narnia, a variation of Wizard of Oz, a variation of that. In the Japanese did that a lot in their anime, where they take characters, they throw them in another world, and it's not Earth, and it's not normal, and they got to get used to it, or they got to get out. And there was others like that. Magic Knight Rayearth was one of them. Those Who Hunt Elves is another one. And y'all know, guys, I don't like cursing. This stuff had some cursing in it, and it was funny. And so I just ignored the cursing for the most part, as long as it wasn't too over the top. I'd laugh my nose out. Some of this stuff was just so doggone funny. And then my cousin and I both got into Ranma 1/2. Ranma 1/2 was the bow on the cake, icing on the cake, bow on the package. We fell in love. It was just so drawn out funny. It was so outrageous. And it was really a kid's show from the 80s for like teens, I guess. There was hardly any cursing. There was some cursing, like a hell here and a damn there or whatever, but nothing, more than that. Like PG for its time. We probably consider it G now. But Ranma 1/2, guy turns into a girl, guy turns into a duck, girl turns into a cat, guy turns into a panda. It was just so funny. And we weren't buying these. We were renting all of Ranma. And we would go to this guy's shop that was 30 minutes away from where we lived at the time. And we rent and just checking out all these Ranma videos and just having a blast. Then after about season 3 or into season 3, it started to be the same jokes over and over, and the animation quality kind of went downhill, and we're like, So I think we made it to about season 4 and then quit, so we never really finished Ranma. But I suggest, at least if you've never seen Ranma 1/2, don't have anything to put here unless I can get it off the internet and so show you Ranma 1/2. There was a few video games that came out. I think there was a Sega CD game, Japanese only, as well as I had a Super Nintendo game that was a Street Fighter style game. It was not easy. Street Fighter was easier than that to control. But long story short, anime. Stay on track. I have maybe 3-4 minutes here. Shinzaman, or it looks like Shinesman, I think. I'll have it right here. It's hilarious. It's making fun of all sorts of stuff. I didn't really get to see it until after I had I thought that was a cop or something, but he's not. I guess he wants a mattress. Making fun of lots of other anime. So before you try to see that, and I forgot the Japanese name of it, you need to watch some other anime before you see that, because I kept seeing a lot of ads for it and a lot of the videos I had. I think it was ADV. And I really hate what happened to them. They brought out a lot of stuff. Evangelion, or Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is classic. It's on Netflix. The Netflix version is not bad. It's still good. And then there was a lot of Gundam. I tried watching Gundam. I had a lot of friends that got into Gundam. I just couldn't get into it. I saw about a season or one of the seasons of it, and it was okay. I don't have any of that. So when you finally see a few robot shows like that, then you need to go to Martian Successor Nadesco. Or it looks like Nadesico, but it's Nadesco. Nabisco, ping. No. That is hilarious. And that is a show you really need to see the English version of. The Japanese with subtitles. I think I've seen 1 or 2 episodes, and it's still good. It's still Nadesco, but the English dub, how they did the English dub is just hilarious. Just an amazing job, amazing cast, amazing voice actors. They're screaming all the time. They're going back and forth. There's a lot of drama. They're making fun of Evangelion, Macross, Big O, Spaceship Yamada, or whatever it was. They're making fun of so much stuff, but it's its own thing. It is so funny. It is so good. And also try to watch the movie as well. I do have the movie. Nadesco, I just love Nadesco. I really got into Evangelion, which was good. My cousin and I was buying them one tape at a time. One tape would come out if not every month, every other month. So we would have like 30, 40 days to watch 2 episodes over and over, waiting for the next tape to come out. And we would talk about it. What's going to happen? We don't know. Oh gosh, who killed who? What's going on? Is this the end of the world? What are the angels? What's this? What is Shinji all about? Why is he such a wimp? Why is he so good in piloting the Ava when he doesn't like doing it, et cetera, et cetera. All sorts of neat, debates going on. And Record of Lodoss War. That is really good. It's kind of slow. It's a little frilly. It seems to be catered to the girls a little more. It's hard to tell what the original Record of Lodoss War is really catering to. It can be bloody. Some of the action sequences are a little like, what's going on? It's well animated, but it's not well animated. But it's good, especially from the beginning to the end. This episode 1 is probably really my favorite episode of the whole series. I do have Record of Lodoss War, but I'm missing one of the two DVDs. I hate that. It's been missing for 7 years or so, and I wonder if I let someone borrow it, or I don't know what happened to it. Rama 1/2, Record of Lodoss War, Elhazard, Nadesco, Devil Hunter Yoko is a very odd one. It's funny. I think I have 1 or 2. They were OAVs or movies. Don't know if there's a TV show to that or not. That's pretty funny. It's a little weird about this little witch girl that if she loses her virginity, she'll either gain her magic or lose her magic. I can't remember which. Kind of coming of age kind of little thing. That was cute. That was funny. There's another one that was an OAV that I wish it had lasted longer. It was almost like a Ghostbusters kind of anime. You do see the girl topless one quick as she rolls out of the bed late. Here it is. I don't have it right here with me. I forgot the name of it. It only lasted like the one OAV with 4 episodes. I wish it had gone on longer. It was good. I really liked it. I loved the song. I liked the lightsaber lipstick thing. It was weird, but it was cool. It was really cool. There's nothing pornographic about it. It was just a really cool anime, OAV. Gosh, what else do I have? Arc the Lad. The Arc the Lad show, it was pretty good for what that was as well. I still have all of Arc the Lad. I have Star Ocean XEX, but it's like an import. So it, or maybe it, I don't know if it's official or not, but I think it's got subtitles in it so I can follow along with it. That's on DVD. All my VHS tapes are gone. They're just gone. What I had a setup where I was able to record VHS on DVD. I had a DVD recorder. It eventually died because I was trying to do home movies that I had on VHS on DVD, and all the anime. I was able to save all my anime for the most part. So what Ranma I have might be on a few of those burnt DVDs. Burnt, you can tell I'm Southern. Oh yeah, I'm real Southern. But there's Slayers. Oh my goodness, Slayers. And I remember these guys and girls at the comic book store that were a little younger than me, and they would go on and on about Slayers, how funny it was. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? And I don't remember if I rented some Slayers from the comic book store or not. But Netflix, when we first got Netflix had all of it out there. There were Slayers, Slayers Try, Slayers Again, and they were all different seasons of the show. It was all very silly. After a while, again, like Ranma 1/2, if the formula worked, they just kept reusing the same jokes over and over. So it gets a little old. I have one of the movies, and the movie that I have is really funny. It's really good. So Slayers is a good one. Inuyasha. Now that's closer to the late 90s into the year 2000. Again, Rumiko Takahashi, who created Ranma 1/2, also did Inuyasha. And this other drama about kids in an apartment building. And I remember them being on top of the roof and looking at the moon or something. In fact, I saw some of that. That was pretty good. It was a drama. It was. I think she did that before Ranma 1/2. It's real. I forgot what it was called. Of course, you got all the Ghibli movies, which are just beautiful and wonderful. Most people bow down to Princess Mononoke. I really like Pompoko as well. My kids really like Ponyo, and there's a few of Ghibli movies I haven't seen. Spirited Away is just beautiful. Spirited Away, it really holds its own. Howl's Moving Castle is okay. I finally got to see Castle in the Sky. I never finished it though. I need to sit down and watch and finish Castle in the Sky. But there's just a ton of anime. Just a ton. Golly, this is about a 30-minute video. I apologize, people. But yeah, it was because of politics, getting invested in getting into our lives and changing our lives and changing our humor is what drew me to anime, because it was not politically correct. How can I forget Cowboy Bebop? I've got all of Cowboy Bebop. I can show you that one. Which is just amazing. Everybody loves Cowboy Bebop, from the characters, Ein, Spike, Jet. Oh, I can see the girl's name. I forgot her name. Ed. In all of them. The music, the art style, those are just wonderful. I don't know, you might be able to stream that on Crunchyroll. I'm not sure. It might be out there. Gosh, and a lot of the anime on Netflix has kind of gotten watered down a little bit over the years too. Is that where I first saw Sword Art Online? Yeah, I think I saw Sword Art. Oh crap. Sword Art Online was on Netflix. That's really good. It's not an old anime, but it's a good anime. Love Hina's really good. There's just a lot of good anime out there. And the owner of the comic book shop offered me to watch Love Hina, so I bought the first tape, and that was really good. I'm gonna have to do a part 2. I've got to go. I didn't mean to go 30 minutes. I've got to get to the store and get back home. So we'll see you next time. Hold that thought, and we'll go over some more anime in part 2. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed night.